This video is about to get very surgical, so stay with me, all right? ASAP Rocky had some interesting thoughts about therapy. As a matter of fact, they were so interesting that I thought it was very necessary for us to have a conversation about this, because the conversation around therapy, the conversation around workshops are very surface level, considering a lot of the people that are having these conversations haven't ever really experienced these things, right? And I think there is a difference between, I think therapy is very nuanced. There's a lot about it that's extremely nuanced, okay? So before we even read this, like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. But take a look at this, all right? It starts by saying that whole film is an anxiety attack, Rocky sums up, admitting he hasn't yet come around to the concept of therapy. My outlook on therapy is so pessimistic, it's not even funny. I might get killed for this, he says, but I put therapists in the same box as psychic readings. This part of the conversation feels like a landmine. His point is that he finds it hard to trust the therapy's ability to connect with him. A$AP Rocky then says, I look at it as like, yo, if you don't share the same experiences, he says, what's the point of me telling a stranger my business for an hour straight for them to just say, okay, well, how did that make you feel? When I reason that there's been a push for more black therapists in the field, he smiles and remarks mischievously, I think Jay-Z is a black therapist. Of course, music is therapy, and rappers help listeners process emotions. Metaphorically speaking, Rocky argues, a lot of people come to him with their problems. So first, there's a few things we got to unpack here, okay? First and foremost, when he's saying that he sees Jay-Z as a therapist, I 100% understand what he's saying, okay? I get what he's saying as far as that goes. Music throughout my life, especially when we talk about Tupac and stuff like that, Kendrick Lamar, their music has helped me see parts of myself that I didn't recognize or understand because somebody else was able to say it from a perspective that I really couldn't see it from. I remember the very first time I heard Dear Mama, and like it changed my brain chemistry, because I felt like he was rapping my life. Not saying my mom was a crack or nothing like that, you feel me? But I'm saying, like, I just felt like he was rapping about my life in Dear Mama. Like, I felt so connected to what he was saying because I experienced so much of it directly. You feel me? So it helps make me see my world in a completely different way, right? Same thing with Kendrick Lamar. When I think about the emotions, the unprocessed emotions, way before Mr. Morale, he helped me see some of these things. It's a Pimp a Butterfly, especially in Damn, okay? I think Damn made me reflect on a whole different level. And maybe that's not relatable for most people, but Damn had me reflecting on a whole different level than I can really recall in most of my life. So I 100% understand what A$AP Rocky is saying there. You feel what I'm saying? The problem is, when he talks about, I wonder if he's talking about 444 or Reasonable Doubt, the Black Album, like these type of albums when it comes to Jay-Z specifically. You see what I'm saying? I wonder where, what he means by that, okay? And I think it's very important to who you go to in music to help reflect and digest and break down some of these things that you believe about the world or whatever. It's important who you listen to when it comes to that. You feel what I'm saying? Now, when he says my outlook on therapy is so pessimistic, this is a common belief, especially within the black community. The black community is super anti-therapy, and what we do is, what happens is, we find ways to justify our processing and our ways of thinking a lot. And it doesn't matter what we got to do. We're some of the best at justifying these beliefs. Like, somebody will say therapy is bad or therapy ain't good for us, and they'll be like, why? And it's like, because I'm a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been through this. I've been through that. I can handle it. I done seen this in my life. I done experienced this in my life. Why would I need to go talk to somebody? And you know what I'm saying? I already been through the trenches. I already been through hard times, and I made it through. I'm still alive. You feel what I'm saying? Or when in reality, a lot of the reason we may feel this way about therapy, or we feel about things, that is because it feels exposing. It feels vulnerable. And within the black community, vulnerability is a huge issue. A lot of people want you to think that vulnerability is just a black male issue. No, 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 no. It's a black issue. I think vulnerability is a human issue, of course, but specifically in the black community, it gets really rough. And that's because a lot of the time when you're in survival, that's when you're least likely to be vulnerable because you got your walls up, you protecting yourself. Like, that's essentially what happens. You see what I'm saying? So this outlook is not very surprising to me. I'm not surprised that A$AP Rocky sees therapy as something that's, you know, unnecessary or scary. You feel what I'm saying? But then when he starts saying stuff like, I put it in the same box as psychic readings, right? And he then breaks that down by saying, how are you able to give me my experience and understand my experience when you've never experienced what I've experienced? Now, this is where that cognitive dissonance comes in, right? Where in one section, somebody would tell you, you can never understand what I've been through because you've never been through it, right? And I think that is true to an extent. But that's why we got things like empathy. That's why we got things like learned experience. That's why artists can make songs about experiences they never experienced, right? And still, for example, we don't understand how somebody can make a song about doing this to somebody, selling these drugs, doing all this different stuff, and they never did it, right? How do we not understand? How do we understand that aspect, that somebody can watch that and then relay it in their music, but then not understand the aspect that you don't necessarily have to go through something to understand it? There are artists that can break down this stuff thoroughly, really tap into the emotions of what somebody's feeling and all that, and still haven't experienced it. And what happens is, it's because a lot of the stuff that we go through, a lot of the things that we believe that hold us back, at the core stem from the same things. Lack of vulnerability, lack of connection, lack of consistency in your word, all these things are usually the core of the issues within our households, the issues within community, lack of trust. These are all the things that are usually a thing in our families. And that extends out into the world. You feel what I'm saying? And when you look at it from that perspective, you can really direct most of the issues in the world to those things. Like, for example, the book, The Four Agreements. You know what I'm saying? Not assuming and all this different stuff in that book that talks about the very things that keep you from being your authentic self and living at peace, right? They usually come back to the same core things. So because of this, somebody doesn't have to experience what you're experiencing to know what you feel. That thing that you're going through causes a feeling that everybody feels. It just might be caused by something else, or it might be to a higher degree or a lower degree. You feel what I'm saying? It might hit you a little harder because of what you experienced, but at the bottom of it, that experience and that feeling is similar, right? This is why somebody who is hosting a workshop or somebody who is doing a one-on-one with you and doing therapy, etc., can be able to understand what you're going through. Now, in my opinion, I think doing workshops is probably going to be more effective than going to therapy specifically. Now, this is all depending on who you are. But in my experience, right, I get why A$AP Rocky would be like, why would I sit in front of one person one-on-one talking to them about all this stuff, and then they just say, oh yeah, I get it, I understand your experiences. Like right here when he says, I look at it like, yo, if you don't share the same experiences, what's the point of me telling a stranger my business for an hour straight for them to just say, okay, well, how did that make you feel? Right? And this is where you're just, in therapy on those one-on-one sessions, you're learning what you feel. Sometimes you need to be pointed in the direction and go through that experience of what you've been through again, dissect it again, realize it again for you to understand what you experienced and what you felt. And once you understand what you experienced and you felt, you start to understand your actions a little better. When you don't understand your feelings, you don't understand your actions. Because typically your thoughts turn into your feelings, and then your feelings turn into actions typically, right? So because of this, you have to be able to understand why you feel the way you feel in order to understand why you do, say, and the things that you do, right? The reason why I feel like a workshop might be better, which is I went to this thing called Live for You, where it was more of a workshop than therapy. It's more community based, multiple people are involved, extremely vulnerable space, activities, stuff like that, where not only are you learning about what you're going through, you're actually doing the work in real time. So, you're learning about, you're experiencing it and all this different stuff. But then you got these activities and this different stuff that make you confront these things directly. You feel what I'm saying? It's almost like brain science. And that's why I think it's a little different, and why I think more people should be exposed to that. When you see other people going through this stuff and other people, you realize how connected humanity really is, regardless of shape, form, size, color, all of that, right? And I think that's why workshops might be a little better, but that's just my personal opinion. I think it's still therapy at the end of the day, because you're releasing and letting things go, right? And then I guess ultimately within the Black community, we believe that these things make us weak. We believe that going through these things they take away from who we are. I think ultimately what happens in the Black community, and including in my experience, right, is that you go through struggle and survival for so long that at the end you don't really want to change that. You don't want your narrative to be changed, because that is your story. That's your life. But what we don't understand is, in order to get to that new stage and get into those new realities, something of equal exchange has to be let go, right? That may include your limiting beliefs are that powerful, where if you let go of one limiting belief, you immediately allow and open up abundance and potential into your life. That's just how it is. You see what I'm saying? Let me give you an example. One of my biggest things, right? One of my biggest things in my experience is asking for support. I was raised to not ask for support. I was raised to not want help from anybody. I was raised to not want to accept things from people, to really just do it my way, do it by myself, all this different stuff. That's how I was raised. I remember going through this workshop and learning that, right? And I had this place I had with some of my homies, right? And there was a whole bunch of stuff that went down, some irresponsibility on due part of some of the roommates and all that, which put us in a position to where we had to leave the place, right? And I remember being in that position and learning and realizing that this is just, that part had to be let go for me to step into this new life. One of my biggest fears was being put in a position where I would be back on the streets, back homeless like I was when I was a teenager, right? Even though that's so far from where I am now, that was still in the back of my mind. So reliving that and having nowhere to go in that moment was like reliving that nightmare. But then realizing it's only a nightmare if I think it's a nightmare. It's all about my perspective. And within a month, I had my own place, right? And that's from grinding and having a little bit of luck on top of that. You know what I'm saying? It just so happened around that time, my hip hop TikTok page took off and I started making a bunch of money off of it. You feel me? It just so happened. So from that perspective, I remember getting on the phone with my uncle, right? And him being like, yeah, you took care of that. You didn't call me. You didn't boom, boom. You didn't none of that. You took care of that. You handled yourself. You handled that on your own. You took care of that like you were supposed to, right? And I remember hearing that and feeling this thing in my body, like feeling vindicated, like, oh yeah, like facts. That's what it means to be one of us in this family, is we do it by ourselves. We don't ask for support. The problem is that lack of asking support is actually not wanting to connect. Imagine that. That lack of asking support is not wanting to be vulnerable, not wanting to be honest in that moment and say, I do need support. I do need help. See, these are the things that I wouldn't have been able to see and learn if I didn't go do the work. And if people are able to look at it as going to do the work rather than going in there and what he's experiencing, then I think more people would do it. I think this is why Mr. Morale is so important. You see what I'm saying? This is coming from somebody that's really done it, I'm not just getting on here talking to y'all just willy-nilly talking about it from the perspective of hearing the or none of that. No, I've really done it and really took the time and really do it actively. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to go mentor and give back what was given to me. You see what I'm saying? Like, I really experienced this and lived this. So I can tell you, you got to do the work in your life on you. You have to. Well, you don't have to, you get to, right? And when you realize that, I think what people got to understand is all your blessings and all the boom, boom, they don't just come from hard work. Because you can work hard and get everything that you wanted and still be the same person, still be in that same spot, still feel those feelings that you feel, right? You have to become, or you get to become what it is that you want before you get what you want. You get to release those old things and step into the idea of abundance before you become anything else. How? You think working and working and working and grinding is going to give you abundance? No. Life is a mental and spiritual game. It don't matter how much work you put in. You can make boom, boom, all this different money all you want. If you still in survival, you will attract situations that will take that money from you and you will be right back in survival. You got to let go of these things and become the new version of you, which is usually just the true version of you. That was hard. The new version of you, which is actually the true version of you. Because we don't usually become newer people. We just go back to becoming our childlike self while maintaining the responsibilities of an adult. But this is the power of therapy, the power of workshops, the power of going to do the work. When you let those things go, bro, it's like a video game. I'm sitting here telling you, every single time I choose to confront something about me or or a situation arises where usually I would be hella confrontational. Usually I would go back and forth with somebody who's spreading shit on me or whatever, right? And then you learn when you choose to go the other route, you open a new reality. When you choose to go the other route, you open new doors. This is the power of therapy. This is the power of workshops. You can't let those things go if you can't identify them. You got to look at yourself as a cup, right? When you pour a cup out, right, of the water that it used to have, like imagine you got a cup of water, right? And you got all this different type of stuff in it. Like the things you learn in your life, maybe it's some dainty stuff in the water. So now the water is kind of dirty. It's kind of coated, right? If you take that cup and pour it out, you feel empty. But guess what? You do it now have room for clean water. What happens is a lot of people don't want to feel the empty part. They want to feel the clean water without the empty part. But you got to get rid of this stuff and feel that emptiness, that uncomfortableness, and go through the trenches in order to get that clean water. That's what therapy and workshops are. It's a video game. That's how you got to look at this shit. It's a video game. Every time a situation comes up that is about to provoke you to react the way you usually react, I guarantee you there's a chance to break that cycle and open a new door. That is how life works. I'm telling you from experience. There's no way, you feel me? I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. You feel what I'm saying? I remember the day I decided to take YouTube serious. And I knew it was going to take releasing the looking good ideology. It was going to take releasing the hiding myself ideology in order to build what I wanted to build. And then it all came to me. That's how this works. Okay, so I respect A$AP Rocky and what he's saying. I do, 100%. But what A$AP Rocky got to understand is all of this justification for why you not going to do something don't mean that you're right. It's just not. It is. You get to go experience that. You talking about Jay-Z therapist. Jay-Z went and did it. You feel what I'm saying? So you got to look at it from that perspective. And this is just a conversation for everybody. We get to let go in order to attract. Okay? I didn't even know this video was going to be like this. But that's how I know I was meant to make this video. Okay? I'm supposed to be doing this poetry thing right now. But, I got called to make this video right now. And, yeah, that's the reality. I hope y'all stayed and watched. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. I think, yeah, let's get some more. I put a Discord in the chat. I got my Twitch. As a matter of fact, y'all, follow me on Instagram too at Sir_Bungus. Okay, I'm trying to get more of y'all that's on my YouTube, on my Instagram. So follow me on Instagram, Sir_Bungus. I'm gonna get more active on that platform. I know a lot of y'all are familiar with my Twitter. Not a whole lot of y'all, but some people are familiar with my Twitter. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. You feel what I'm saying? I'm about to be starting I'm about to start rolling out new music. A lot of y'all been telling me to put new music out since I put my freestyles out. I took y'all words serious, and a lot of shit is coming way sooner than you think. You feel me? I got a Sing About Me freestyle out there that I don't think I posted directly. I might go reconstruct that and drop that for y'all. But it's a lot of music coming, and all this hip hop shit I've been talking about, where people need to say shit and not be scared to say it, and people need to be real and authentic and honest in their music. I'm delivering all of that. I'm being I'm being the example in what I'm talking about, delivering exactly what I said I want to see in the culture. Instead of waiting for everybody else to do it, why don't I contribute and do it? And for all the artists that's in here, you do it too. You feel me? And who cares how many views you get and all that? Live your truth. And that's another thing I learned in workshops in therapy, is that if you're a creative, you gotta create. That's all. If you're a creative and you ain't created in a while, you probably feel weird as hell just because you ain't been creating. You feel me? So that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to put my music out there in the world before they try to censor this shit. I'm finna say the shit that I've been wanting motherfuckers, shit that we need to be saying. You feel me? So I appreciate everybody that's been here, supporting me, showing love. I got so much love and respect for all of y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new, especially if you're being here. I'm gonna catch y'all.